speaker box loud, hitting that stuff till you hearing that sound. Hitting that stuff till you hearing that sound.
Finally, sub 16 minutes for 5K. This has been a goal of mine for a while. I really wanted to crack this before the end of the year, and now finally it's done. G'day, by the way, I'm AWESOMEST, and I assume you're here because you want to run your fastest 5K. Well, I can tell you, you've come to the right place because this video is literally about that. I want to share with you my 5K journey and my advice on how to run your fastest 5K through 5 tips. So here's my 5 best, awesomest tips on how to run 100 million minutes faster on your 5K in 24 hours. That's never gonna sell. All right, in all seriousness, here's my top 5 tips on how to run a faster 5K. Happy? Firstly, some housekeeping. I thought that'd be a funny joke, and it was. No, but really, before we begin, some housekeeping. I didn't think I'd do it twice, but I did. Okay, really, before we start, please consider subscribing to my channel. I try to be as open and honest as possible about my journey and share with you everything I learn along the way. If you subscribe to my channel, that really helps me out. And I can keep making weird videos about me doing chores around my house. Thanks, legend. Now let me take you briefly through my 5K journey. Rewind to the start of 2022, and my first 5K, my first park run, I ran 18:52. From that point, I started to do park runs regularly, and by April, I ran 18:01. In May 2022, I moved to the Gold Coast, and encouraged by the incredible running community and running culture here, I started to run a lot more. I entered a few races, I loved it, and I joined a running group in October. At the same time, and with all this regular running, my 5K time continued to drop. By November, I was running sub 17. Now, at the beginning of this year, I began to really increase my training with my sights set on a marathon for July. So with this increased training load and the start of the racing calendar, I found myself running low 16s by March. And then everything went quiet. Sorry, crickets, you're just being really loud right now. Thank you. Well, to be honest, things didn't go quiet as such.
Speaker box loud, hitting that stuff till you hearing that sound. Hitting that stuff till you hearing that sound.
But in the 5K world, it was true that I didn't have a chance to have a crack at my PB. I did a park run here or there, but I really wasn't rested enough to have a real go. Now, come November, just last month, I ran my first ever track race, a 5,000 meter on the track, and technically I got a PB. Or technically not. I'm not quite sure where the technically lies, but I did run my fastest 5K time. Now, personally, I don't really count it because on the track you have favorable conditions. But it's worth noting that I did run 16:01. But then finally, in December, this very month, a few attempts later, literally only a week ago, I did it. I cracked 16 minutes. Okay, we're on to it. We're on to the good bit. Here's the 5 tips. Let's do it. Let's go. Here they are. Now, it is really difficult to improve your 5K if 5K is the furthest distance that you run. It's possible, but it's difficult, and you're unlikely to see huge gains. You need to teach your body to run further, which builds your aerobic capacity. So when you do run 5K, it's not maximum effort endurance-wise. Speed-wise, yes, but not endurance-wise. So to do this, what you want to do is add a long run to your regime and build it. If your long run is 10K, that's fantastic. If it's 15 to 25K, that's even better. When you build up your long run, do it slowly and over several weeks. And when you run your long run, run slow. You shouldn't be running your long run at the same pace as you run your 5K. And if you are, you can probably run a faster 5K. And then you don't even need this video. So you're welcome to go. I'm AWESOMEST. I'll see you next week. But for everyone else, you can probably run faster than you do for 5K, as in your top speed, you little speedy devil you. So I recommend building into your training some speed work. My favorite way to do this is on a track because it opens up so many possibilities, so many workouts based on that 400-meter loop. I'm talking mile reps, K reps, 1200 meters, 800 meters, 400 meters. It just works so perfectly for the speed work. And the best way to structure these workouts is as follows. Warm up, dynamic stretching, main sets, warm down. Now for the main sets, aim for 4 to 7K of effort. 4 to 7K of running at speed. 60 to 90 seconds rest between reps and 2 minutes rest between the sets. For example, 1200 meters, then 400 meters times 4. In full, it'll look like this. Now, if you don't have access to a track, or you're not keen on the track at all, you can still do the same workouts on the road or on some other course. When I'm doing speed sessions, but I'm not on a track, I tend towards doing reps that aren't based around 400 meters, but that's just my personal preference. So one example is running kilometer reps. This is a workout that I've given my sister who's currently trying to work on her 5K PB. 5 times 1K reps. She hates warm up and warm down, so I say that 5 minutes is okay, but I prefer it to be 10 to 15 minutes. And by the way, she's already improved her 5K time from 30 minutes down to 27 minutes, and I'm so proud. Okay, that's enough about intervals, but run fast. Let me just get that nice graph up again for a second. So firstly, look at the drop of over 2 minutes in 9 months. And then look at all that white noise for 8 months. Sometimes you're gonna see gains come all at once. And then for some periods, you're gonna see what feels like no progress at all. Don't give up. The gains will come, the PBs will come, I guarantee you. You've just got to be patient and keep at it. And part of the patience is knowing that you're not going to PB every week. Probably not even close to every week, but don't let that be a disincentive. Train consistently, and when you're ready for it, go for your PB. I'll touch on preparing to go for your PB soon. Be consistent. So this next point I'm about to make helps illustrate my point about consistency, but also touches on my next point around racing. So for this 8-month period, I was busy with other running. Now all the yellow orange dots, all the races I entered across this period. The yellow dots are the 2022 races and the orange dots are the 2023 races, with the big burnt orange dots representing the marathons. So sometimes, and this is my point on consistency, you have other priorities. Whether that's running stuff, or non-running life stuff, these things might draw you away from going for your 5K PB, but that is life. So overall, you need to combine that patience with that consistency. Now with regard to racing, I really believe racing helps me improve as a runner. None of these races was actually a 5K. They were everything from 10K through to marathon. 9 out of 11 were actually PBs. I've had a big year of racing. Racing helps you run under pressure when there's expectations, usually placed upon you by yourself when the adrenaline is pumping and people are watching. Usually people don't actually care how you go, they just want you to succeed. It allows you to push yourself into fine conditions and motivates you as you're part of something bigger. Running goes beyond an individual sport when it's with tens or hundreds or thousands of others. And really, the main reason for me is just that they're damn fun. Wonderful vibes, great energy, wholesome people. Now, especially if you're trying to crack your PB at a local park run like I always am, if you raced a big event with crowds and music and aid stations and a finish line and a medal, then when you come back to your humble local park run, it ain't nothing but a thing. Easy. Start racing. To run your fastest 5K, you need your strongest legs. So if you're open to cross training, particularly going to the gym, then I couldn't recommend this more. In fact, I've just done a whole video on strength training for runners.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's on my channel, so go check it out right now and come back. We'll wait. We won't wait, moving on. All I'll say on this is building strength in your legs allows you to run for longer and faster, and including plyometric exercise in your strength regime increases speed and power in your running. Now, if you're one of the less inclined to strength train as a runner, then that's okay. I guess I understand. But could you at least consider running up some hills? Hill training is strength training for the legs without going to the gym. Little life hack there. So you can do this as hill sprints. Say if you have a 1 to 200 meter hill, sprinting up and walking back down, 10 to 12 reps. You can also do it as hill reps if it's a slightly longer hill. For example, I do a local course that's 1.2 kilometers long. It has a 750 meter climb and a 350 meter descent, or a 350 meter climb and a 750 meter descent, depending on which direction you do the circuit. So I usually do somewhere between 6 and 8 reps, and I alternate directions. The other option is just to include hills in your easy runs and or your long runs. Hint, when you're attempting your 5K PB, do it on a completely flat course and you'll feel the difference. Build strength. Voila. And there are your 5 tips as promised. But before we wrap up, I want to quickly talk about setting up to go for your PB. Now there's a couple ways to go about this, and it depends on how much you enjoy pressure or if you perform better without it. If you're not one for pressure, then just stick to the other tips. Create a solid regime, build your long runs, focus on speed work, train consistently, be patient, enter the occasional local race if it's not too much pressure, and enjoy the ride. Have fun out there. Run regular park runs or other 5K events, and you'll start to see 5K PBs popping up all over the place. Now, if you're more of the performs better under pressure type, then you've got to create the conditions. Firstly, don't go for a PB every week. Train consistently, and when you're ready to go for that PB, treat it like a bit of a race. If it is an actual race, then great, sorted. Otherwise, if you, like me, just do it at your local park run, then you've got to kind of create the conditions. So make sure you taper your training in the days leading up, eat a wholesome carby dinner the night before, wake up, have a coffee, maybe an energy gel. You don't need a big breakfast. Arrive early, warm up, and then have a crack. Don't go out too fast. Hold your pace, hold it. Keep some, just a little for that last K, and then go hell for leather. Now I know, all that sounds a little bit serious. So at the end, win or lose, PB or not, make sure you don't take it too seriously. It's just running after all. I would love to hear your questions and your comments and your 5K journeys in the comments below. I hope you take something from this vid and obliterate your 5K PB sooner or later. Now, just some housekeeping before we wrap up. It's literally funny every time. I'm Average Dom Slim, and you'll see me next week. You see what I did there? We still roll.